Kids and cadets, back at you with this 2015 Husqvarna with the Honda GCV 160. I had picked this up in a group of 3 for $140. I got the Lawn Boy and the Boland's machine in that group. So I had ran into mechanical difficulties when I was trying to remove the Phillips head screw. I didn't have a vice grip nearby, so instead of stalling the video, I went ahead and shut you guys off. Got a vice grip, grabbed the side of the Phillips head screw and gave it a twist to break the tension on it. Just from experience, these Phillips heads are also used on the vintage Honda motorcycles, and so when you go to try to remove these with the Phillips head, they end up gouging up the tracks there. So I like to take a vice grip, break the tension, and then remove them with JIS Phillips head, Japanese industrial service. They got a different pitch on the Phillips. They're not called Phillips, they're JIS. You can get a set, and it's all for the Japanese motorcycles that require those bits. So while you were gone, I blew out everything, put a little carb cleaner in this jet, blew it out. The carb cleaner went right through, so there was no blockage. I'm going to put this back together. So this carburetor overall is relatively clean, so I don't know why this thing wasn't starting. Hopefully it does now. So let's put this back together. What I'll do next is put my emulsion tube, which I cleaned as well. That goes down into the center of the carburetor, like so. Then my jet goes in, and I found the proper screwdriver for this application to remove this brass jet. I've got a Craftsman here. It's the 3/16. It's nice and narrow, where I can fit down into the tube here nicely. So screw this down, that brass jet, until it dead ends. You'll feel it stop. Okay, it's in there. Next, I'm going to put the float valve on the float. That's going to go on next. So kind of eyeball that into place. I let gravity work for me. Let the float valve here rest on the plastic float and put it in. So that's moving freely. Just blow some air in here and tap the float up and down. It should stop. The airflow should stop with the float in the up position. Time for the bowl. Bowl nut, 10 millimeter. I'll put this all back together, and I have a glass jar here at the fuel line. I want to drain off some fuel, make sure there's no water in the bottom of the tank that I may have missed. So tighten this up, a little bit of pressure. That's good and tight. going to turn my fuel valve on, let it drip out some fuel, take a look at this, let a little bit of this fuel come out, make sure it's not contaminated. Looks good to me. I don't see any water droplets in the bottom of the jar. Looks acceptable, so we did not have contaminated fuel. Place that to the side. Now let's put this thing back together again. I got my air filter backing plate. The gasket's still on. What I'll do is thread the carburetor through next. Then I'm going to put my linkages on. I might have to bring you up for that. Let me see. No, I think you're at a good location. I'm going to do my linkages first. Give me some breathing room. Okay, the spring and the linkage are attached. Might as well put my fuel line on while I have access to the clamp. Then we'll start threading the needle, as they say. UPS is in the street. He didn't stop here. I guess I'm not getting anything. I guess my parts are going to come post office today. The Brotherhood of the Brown was not nice to me. He's 2 doors up. Somebody's getting some goodies. But it ain't me. Okay, sorry I gave you the elbow. I finally wiggled that clamp into place. Now I'm going to thread the needle. Just keep putting everything through these bolts until I dead end into the block. So I got my gasket behind the plastic backing plate. The carburetor, then this big cardboard gasket. Then my automatic choke assembly. That goes between the carburetor and the block. This little heat sensitive push out that goes into the block area. So a little bit of patience, make sure everything is on the bolts. get one started, fish around with the second one, feel for the hole, get that one started. Your plastic rubber breather hose, I keep wanting to say plastic today. Attach that before you forget about it. That's attached. Now just use your 10mm socket, tighten this thing up. Going to turn my fuel on right now just to see, make sure it's not leaking before I finalize my tie down or tighten up. Feel under the bowl, I don't feel any weeping. Continue with my 10mm bolts back and forth. Tighten them up evenly so it doesn't get cockeyed. Okay, back and forth. Snuggy snug. Okay, fuel's still on. We'll drop this to the ground and pull on this thing. Still got no weeping, so we're in good shape. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I got 2 generators. I got double my pants now.
Okay, so your arm work?
Stop. What about chainsaw? Okay, buddy.
Yeah, I'll be around this weekend. Somebody just saw me from the street, wanted to know if I worked on small engines. He's got 2 generators he needs fixed. He said, what about chainsaws? I don't like chainsaws. 2-cycle stuff is a pain in the ass. I like the mowers and generators. Let's put this down and try it. So I had tried Spark earlier. We do have Spark, and I had fired it off with a little happy juice and it started. So we got a dry start issue. I don't know what the deal is, why this thing is uncooperative. It's a high dollar item. It should not crap out. Choke is where it should be, in the closed position. does not want to start in the dry position. Once you happy juice it, it'll fire off. We saw we were getting fuel by turning the petcock to on to get a fuel sample. Fuel supply is not an issue. So I don't know what the heck this thing is doing or not doing. Just wanted to confirm the choke was closed. It is in the closed position. So let me think about this thing, this Husqvarna from Preferred Turf Equipment Inc. Every customer is a preferred customer. I may be preferred, but I'm perturbed that this stupid Husky is giving me such a burden. The HU 700H is in Hilo. What a hunk of junk. Well, it worked that time. I'm going to let this thing rest in the shade and try it in an hour. See if I have the same no-start symptoms. That was weird, the high-low RPM on that last start. So I don't know, maybe put some cleaner in the gas.